Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm very honored now to be joined by two gentlemen who have been with the Roundtable for a long, long time. They are Ed Roberts from Bozard Ford Lincoln and Cesar Augustus from Dealer Scanning, who is one of the original founding members of the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Ed and Cesar, welcome back to the event.
Thanks, Tibbs. Glad to be here.
Good to see you, Ted. Good to see you, Ed.
Likewise.
Cesar, so much has happened in the last couple years. Ed and I were just talking about all the changes that are continuing to happen. There's a big change coming now for dealers that need to get on board with a lot of new rules that are required as dealerships. And, Ed, you're also in Florida, and you may not have been in St. Augustine affected by the winds of that last hurricane, but a lot of dealers were. And if they weren't scanning their ROs and scanning throughout the dealership, Ed, they would have been in big trouble.
The ones we was certainly spared here in St. Augustine, but the ones in Southwest Florida, not so much, unfortunately. And I feel for some of those, and I've reached out to some friends down there, and some dealers has experienced some flooding and loss of inventory, and we're all struggling with inventory. But that stuff is replaceable. Sometimes when you need documents, or you have documents with authorizations and whatever else, and you lose those from a natural disaster or whatever it may be, they're irreplaceable, and it's tough to circle back up with it. And so I recommend to anybody to scan as much digitally as you can, because it's stored somewhere else. It's not stored on the same facilities. And if you have paper backup, that's one thing, but when you store digitally, then we can all have access to it.
And Cesar, I know we're going to be talking today about DMS less scanning, but you had to have seen some dealers who were affected throughout this last calamity who were not scanning, and as a result, will pay a big price.
Yeah, we had couple of our dealers, but specifically one in the North Fort Myers area. We followed up with them a day or two after the event, and one thing she responded when the controller was, "Thank God we're scanning," because some of the they got flooded. So obviously some of the stuff got really messed up. And all she said is, "Thank God we're using you guys, because all our stuff's safe and ready to go." So, but yeah, we're glad that our dealers in that area we've been helping them for a couple of years, and made it out okay through the storm.
So, Cesar, let's talk about that. Are there still dealers today who are not scanning repair orders and some of the basic stuff?
Yeah, it's unusual to think that in 2022, now we're going into 2023, there's a good percentage of dealers out there, probably 40, I would say 40 to 30% of dealers that are still old school. There's a mindset that doesn't change with some of these principals or even service managers, and I'm always amazed. Obviously, it's great for us because we get new businesses, but people don't change, and it's always amazing to me. I just did an install in Detroit. Dealer's been around for 60 plus years, and they were been paper filing for a long. And it took a service manager to leave and come back 3 years later. And his premise was, in order for me to come back, we need to scan our rows. And that's how he was able to, kind of get them on board scanning.
Wow. Ed, I know you scan your documents at Bozard. Can you ever imagine going back to the old way of doing it?
Absolutely not. We scan to be able to have access to it when we need to, but then also volume has just went crazy. We started scanning back in 2015, but now with volume what it is today, I would need 3 file clerks to keep up with it. But Cesar talked about old school there, and let's talk about car dealers in general. And we kind of stick with things that we've done forever, and we do it that way because that's the way we've always done it. And that's kind of what happens with scanning right now. We've kind of always filed this stuff away, and we got these file rooms and big old giant file cabinets, and we go back and look for this stuff. And it's there the first time you go look for it if you got a decent system in place. But what about the second time you need to look for it? What about the third time? Because if someone went back and accessed it and didn't put it back, or put it back in the wrong spot, now how do you find it again? And when you scan it digitally, it's there every single time you need it. And so it's all in one spot. So you don't have to look in different places for different time frames of when they came in. And it's just, but And then let's carry that further. I mean, here we are in the middle of November, and next month we got the safeguard compliance that we got to meet. And with boxing up stuff and waiting for somebody to come file it away, that puts us all in jeopardy. To scan it and be able to scan daily and keep that stuff clean. I mean, look at Cesar's desk back there. I don't see a paper anywhere. And that's obviously because we can do something with it. And now we don't have to hold on to that paperwork. But even further than that, sometimes we maybe back up a bit and minimize what we print. And then you can control how much you have to scan. And you don't have this stuff sitting everywhere to where you have issues with compliance.
I love it. And, I want to talk to you, Cesar, a little bit about that Safeguard Act with Ed as well. But, Cesar, one of the things I know that you want to talk to us today about is DMS-less scanning. Talk to us about that, and why is that such a big issue?
So, yeah, Ted, one of the, I would say, new trends that it's happening in the industry is that a lot of dealers are starting to recognize the need to basically keep their old data, especially around when they're moving from a DMS to DMS. There's a DMS wars going out there. You have your Reynolds and Reynolds, your CDKs, your Automates, your dealer tracks. They're all going after the same pot of dealers, and they do change. You guys know this, Ed. You know this. You go from Reynolds to CDK to dealer track to Automate. I've known dealers that have gone from Reynolds to dealer track, back to Reynolds to Automate. And when you talk to the employees, they want to. You can only imagine how they feel, right? The ones that have been there for 10 years and they've gone through 4 DMSs. But unfortunately, what happens when these changes occur, the scanned files, if they've been scanned to that DMS, you're basically held for hostage if you want to move the files over to the new DMS. And there's many reasons for that. There's just different standards of the way some files are stored in one system versus the other. And the transfer of those files from the one system to the other can cost in the upwards of tens of thousands of dollars. So as you're moving from a DMS to DMS, usually saving money is one of the main issues that a dealer is making the move. So most of the time, the files that have been scanned never get moved, which essentially you're losing all that work you did to keep track of all that history. So DMS-less scanning is basically your document scanning system is agnostic to what DMS is using. And that's what we offer here at Dealer Scanning is we tie into all the different DMSs, and we're able to basically maintain the files to the dealership, not to the DMS, which proves is the best solution for the client, because then you're not worried about having to pay thousands of dollars to move hundreds of thousands of scanned files. So it makes it easier. It makes it faster. It allows you to keep track of basically all your history without losing it in, either because you had a dealer buyout or some group bought you that is using a different DMS. You always have your files. And I think that's best. That's the best thing for the dealer.
And let's talk about that for a minute, because all the DMSs out there will say that, hey, we'll transfer your data. You'll be able to get everything from your old DMS. You'll be able to do all those things because obviously they want to make the sale. But reality is everything that's scanned is encrypted at some level. And when you change it to another DMS, that encryption may not go over the same. And there may be things that they can get from it, but not everything carries over. Correct. And when you can keep it separate, then everything's carried over just as the way you scanned it. And that's instrumental with taking care of a customer follow-up service visit or whatever it may be, when you can go back and access all the information, have all the tech notes, not just some of it. You can see that it came in on this date, but you can't see what was done. And so that complicates it. So when you can carry it all over, it's instrumental. But sometimes it's not the intent. It's just the way it works out with just the different encryptions and how it converts over.
Yeah, and obviously the encryption is important. There's different ways that data is stored, and it's just the flexibility of our system to always meet the standards. And one thing that we can all talk about this technical stuff, but it goes back to the user. I remember walking into a car dealer, and surprisingly to us, you would think that the service manager or your service advisors are the ones that are impacted the most with our scanning, and it turns out it's your service techs. When I walk into a dealership, the techs they're like, "Oh, you're the scanning guy. We love your system," and the reason is that a tech is working on an RO on a car, and they made a note on an RO on the piece of paper 6 months ago. In the past, they would have to call the front desk to get the lady to go to the file room to go find the RO. Let's hope the RO was stored in the right place. That process can take up to an hour, right? That's if you can find the RO. And now they're able to go to a machine in the tech shop, type in the RO number, all the last 6 of the VIN, all the information comes up. So it makes it easier for them, makes it faster for them, it makes it more convenient, and it's not as stressful,
And that's one thing that we don't get back from a technician is the time. So when we waste their time, send them all over the place looking for stuff, we lose what Telly says we're due. We sell hours. We lose the hours that we should be selling. And that doesn't help any of us.
Yeah, it's amazing. Go ahead, Ted.
Why is it when we say hours or when we think of time, we all see Tully pop up, right? We all smile because we know how true that is, Ed.
That's exactly true. I got my reminder every single day right there. He's in my ear screaming hours. Make sure you sell your hours. And that's what this is about. There's elements of efficiency here. There's elements of compliance. But there's also elements of being able to have a third party to have more control of what you want to do with your business as well.
So, Ed, if I may, you recommend, Ed Roberts, that dealers are scanning, okay, and get on a reputable scanning platform. And number 2, look at DMS less scanning as a way to do that. And that would be the preferred method to be able to apply at your dealership.
Absolutely. Sometimes we look at, and when you talk to the DMS, they're going to tell you, well, we can do that and we can do it easier but the process of scanning is exactly the same. And so you're not held hostage if you do it third party, and there's no additional labor to do that. You still have to go through the same motions to scan it, whether it's within the DMS or outside the DMS. And when you keep it separate, then you don't have to worry about whether the DMS is down, whatever else. You have another source to be able to get to it. And like Cesar said, if the advisor needs to look at it because of something the technician put on there, then the technician needs to refer back to it. Neither one of them have to leave their workspace to be able to get it. It's bam, right there. They pull it up and they have it in front of them. When we foul it, it's a whole different ballgame.
So, Cesar, Ed came up through fixed operations. He obviously understands that extremely well. Now he's running the dealership. He's COO. And now we have a new date coming in December next month that's going to affect all the dealerships. Let's talk about that a little bit, that Safeguard Act. And Ed, first of all, to you, and then Cesar, Ed, why is it important that we incorporate scanning as part of that solution with what's happening?
Well, we have the compliance issue coming out next month, as you said, and with that, it's really that's to safeguard our customers. It's to protect their information, and when we foul, we end up storing that, and then there's periods of time where somebody comes and fouls. Well, that whole storage, we're really at risk of all those people, data at risk. When we scan and we scan repetitiously throughout the day, then that stuff is never laying around for it to become missing. And we're controlling our customers' data that they already trust us with. And the last thing I want to do is violate their trust.
Cesar, that's got to be a big part of your strategy at dealer scanning.
Yeah, no, with this new safeguard rule, I mean, we've taken the last year of development to make sure that our system is up to date, to make sure that now the multi-factor authentication is required for all vendors. It's going to make it a little more complex for the user because now you have to verify that you are the person that says that is using the system. But our encryption is military grade encryption, and more importantly, one thing that gets overlooked by many is it's the actual reporting and the tracking. So, for example, we're able to tell you because we do have integrations with all the DMS systems. We're able to tell you, hey, if you closed 1,000 ROs in the month of October, you've scanned 800 ROs. There's 200 ROs that are missing scan. Now, that's valuable information because that tells you that, yep, 200 repair orders have not been scanned. They were closed. Where are they? And now, because we're required to store this data properly, that's going to become a bigger issue in the coming months. So reporting is important to make sure that whoever is scanning is doing the right job, and obviously that technically all this information is stored in the right way.
And Cesar, what about warranty audits? Does that enter into this as well?
Yeah, I mean, now that you're not going to be able to store this in some file room, imagine, Ed, you have your warranty audit that says, I need these 100 rows by end of next week. You know the horror stories of trying to find 100 rows in a paper file-based file room. The benefit, and every service manager tells me that's been one of the biggest benefits of scanning, that your warranty audits do not become a nightmare just because how easy it is to pull the data.
Well, when a manufacturer comes in to do a warranty audit, and it doesn't matter the manufacturer, it's very similar. When they come in, they have ones that ROs that they feel like is already at risk, that there's something that we didn't do correctly or whatever else, or maybe it's an investigation from a quality concern. And so they have a list that they want to look at. And it isn't that if you come up with 98 of them, of the 100 that they're asking for, that they're good. They want to see all 100 of those because there's a reason why they singled those 100 out. And the ones that you show them, they'll look through them. If they find if they understand what took place, you're good. But all of the ones that don't show up, they charge you back for. No matter what the reason is, if you can't find it, it's a chargeback. You couldn't show me why you charged me for that. And in some cases, there's extrapolation. That would say, we looked at 10% of your ROs, and in these, you didn't do what you were supposed to. So we would think that would be the same if we looked at all of them. So we're going to multiply that times 10 since we only looked at 10%, and that's what they charge you back. So the extrapolation piece can get really ugly, but truly the element is being able to provide the documentation, because in audit, we all should learn. The manufacturer should learn about some stuff that's going on. We should learn about what the manufacturer is looking for. And the last thing we want to do is to send money back and forth that we feel like we're entitled to, or they feel like they're entitled to.
And Cesar, let's talk about how easy it is to use your platform, because I don't have to sign a long-term contract, right? And get locked in with dealer scanning, do I?
No. We understand that that's one of the biggest pet peeves for all our dealers. It keeps us on our tippy toes to make sure we're delivering absolute value. So it's month to month, easy to use system, lifetime warranty on the equipment. We come from the Lexus world. Our business partner, founder, Michael Napton, and I. So we learned a lot from Jim Moran down there. Family. Yeah. So we used to work for Jam Lexus. So yeah, we're top notch. We provide the best service, full-time warranty on the equipment, easy to use, unlimited scanning, the best reporting in the industry. We integrate with CDK, with all the major players, easy to use.
And Cesar, I've seen on a lot of installs, maybe not all, but I've seen Cesar Augustus in the stores. Like you just said, you were in Detroit, actually making sure these dealers get up and running. And you're great on service too, I know.
I love it because even though we have other people around the country, I'm I guess more camera friendly, and I like to show the reality of what's going on in the ground, and people see it, and as an owner of the company and working with the company, you really get to see how you're impacting your clients. We have raving fans all around the country. It's a great product. We're just keep adding more.
And Cesar, you have raving fixed ops fans. We mentioned his name a few minutes ago, Tully Williams, but on the latest issue of Fixed Ops magazine, I want to just show the audience how ingrained dealer scanning is in the fixed ops community, because not only is Tully on the cover along with Ed Roberts, but there's Cesar Augustus on the cover of Fixed Ops magazine. Ed, I know you've been on the cover a couple times. Cesar, your product, dealer scanning, is built for service, built for fixed ops, affects the entire dealership, and you're really one with the fixed ops community, because I know a lot of dealers use dealer scanning.
No, thank you, man. It's amazing. It truly is an honor just to be part of that group with Ed and Owen and I was Tully. Unbelievable. No words.
All right. How does our audience reach out and get a hold of you, Cesar? What do we do?
Yeah, just you can go up to our website, dealerscanning.com. We have a 2-minute video demo that basically explains the whole entire process. You have all the pricing there, easy to use. And if you want to reach out, just either call me at 561-385-8177 or text me.
That's your cell phone.
That's sir.
All right. Everybody, DMS less scanning, get on board. It's time. It's fixed ops. Ed Roberts, thank you so much today for all you do for the fixed ops community. And Cesar Augustus from Dealer Scanning. These gentlemen here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.